save yourself with this tool. Let me show you how.
0, 1. Let's get started.
What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to talk about cat tourniquets. But before we get going, I'm Kekai, the B-level foiler, and I'm a Oahu lifeguard and fellow downwind foiler. The reason why I chose to carry a cat tourniquet is because they're easy to use, they're super effective, and they're pretty low maintenance. I don't got to worry about metal parts corroding out in the ocean. I just pack it away, check it before my runs. They usually hold up pretty well. Some pointers before ordering one: do some research, look for the reputable brands out there. I'll link a couple in the description. But when it comes to something that I'm going to trust my life with, I'll spend a little extra money making sure I'm getting a quality tourniquet. So keep that in mind. So let's get started. I like to set mine up by taking it completely apart. When you get your brand new tourniquet, it'll probably be packaged in plastic and hopefully come with some instructions. I recommend reading those instructions, getting familiar with your tourniquet, and if you can, better yet, get into a training class that can teach you first aid, bleeding control, and how to apply a tourniquet properly. This video is only to supplement that kind of stuff and really just the game plan on how I'm going to use one. So the way I like to set mine up, I look for my red tab. They're all going to have one. I'll go in through my buckle a couple of inches, fold it over, and make a loop big enough for my leg. Okay, now I half that up, get my red tab to one end, fold it up. If I need it smaller, do it one more time, and I pack that in my fanny pack. I'm only gonna bust this out for cuts that are bleeding so bad that I can't control with direct pressure and that are on my arms or my legs. Okay, so don't use it around your neck or around a torso. It's not gonna work. And also remember, it only takes a couple of minutes before you bleed out. So make sure you're quick to it, recognizing that you need one, and then you've been practicing enough that you don't waste too much time getting it on. Okay, so some details on getting it on now. When I get it out of my fanny pack, I look for my red tab again. There's gonna be a little loop if you fold it the way I just showed. Get my pointer finger in the loop and then my thumb on that red tab. And I give a hard whip. And I get it undone. Ideally, it gets fully undone. But even if it gets to this much where at least my arm can get in there, that's all I'm gonna do. Okay? Now I'm gonna pay attention to that tab again. I want it pointing towards my heart if I'm gonna put it on my arms. So I got it facing my heart. Get it up on my arm as high up as possible. And then I get to my red tab, pulling towards my heart or across my chest. And that's just so I can get a max leverage on this strap, because I want to get this strap as tight as possible before turning this windlass rod. Okay, so now that I got my strap all connected with the Velcro, I start turning my windlass, or basically just a stick to make it extra tight. If I did the strap correctly, should only be getting 2 turns on that. That's 1, that's 2, super tight. Gonna get that into the clip, find the rest of my strap, tuck that into my clip. If you want to go one more step further, you can go around that strap and back in through that clip. And then now I close up that gate with my time strap, double check, make sure that my bleeding stopped, check my pulse, should be absent, and then I check my time. I got 3:30. Now let's talk about getting it onto our leg. Pretty much the same details, but pay attention to that red tab. Okay, so as I get this taken apart, I'm just going to go over why it's important to take note of that time. So once you get your tourniquet applied, you got about 2 hours before you got to start worrying about permanent damage to your nerves and tissue, because you're cutting off circulation, right? And then they say you got about 6 hours before you got to worry about amputation. So that's why we take note of the time, and we're just going to pass that information on to the doctors and EMTs that show up in the follow-up parts of this video. So now that I get my tourniquet reset, I'll mention one thing I forgot to in the beginning of the setup. After I put my red tab through, making my big loop, I double check to make sure that my clip here is open. Okay, I don't want my time strap closing it up. That's something that I won't be able to maybe undo easily out there in that kind of frantic state. Your fine motor skills and whatnot start getting worse and worse. So I set myself up early before even getting it packed away, making sure my clip's open and that the rod isn't in the clip either. Okay, I want to be ready to use it. Okay, so now that it's packed up, reset in my fanny pack, I got now a bad cut to my left leg that I can't stop the bleeding with direct pressure. I get my tourniquet out. I don't want to pull my cell phone out at the same time, losing it into the ocean. So make sure you're doing it quickly but carefully. Okay, pull that tourniquet out. In this case, I got both my hands to work, so I'll just open it up just like that. And then I look for my red tab. Opposite of the arms, I'm gonna go away from my heart when I put it onto my legs. Okay, so I got my red tab, make it go in the right direction here, get it high up on my leg bone as possible, and I make sure that when I tighten this strap down that it stays straight across my leg. I don't want it to be coming up at this angle here, because that's a whole different kind of tourniquet application. So I'm going straight across my leg, high up on my leg bone, nice and tight. Remember, I pull in these certain directions to give myself that max leverage.
Leverage is the element of technique which make it happen.
Right, I want to get the strap as tight as possible before turning my windlass. So I get my strap all connected here, and I don't have excess to have to worry about getting into the clip after turning my windlass here. So just make sure that it's all connected to the Velcro. Now I turn my rod here, 2 turns, that was 1. We'll go 1 more, get that into its clip, close up that gate with my time strap, double check, make sure that I got my bleeding stopped. I can check my pulse in my feet, and then I take note of my time. I got 3:35, and that's it. Make a fun game out of this. You know the basics on how to apply it to yourself now, so try to make some games, come up with fun scenarios, practice both hands, one-handed, weak and strong, and try to get as quick as you can. Put a stop clock on it. They say that you should be able to do this in 15 seconds, so that's the challenge. Now let's talk about follow-up. You got your tourniquet applied, you're done. No more finishing the run, get straight to shore. Before you do that, if you bring your cell phone like I always do, I'll get to my phone, I'll call my emergency number, wherever that is in the world, but for Hawaii, that's gonna be 911. You'll get the first operator asking police, fire, ambulance, ask for the ambulance. When you get to that dispatcher, you're gonna tell them your name, your age, your injury, tell them you have a tourniquet on, where you are, what you're wearing, and where you're planning to go into. So as an example, I get to that operator, I'm gonna tell them my name is Kekai, I'm 37 years old, I got a deep laceration to my left leg, I have a tourniquet on, I am about 2 miles outside of Wailupe Beach Park wearing a green hat, white shirt, green shorts on a white foil board. I am planning to head into Wailupe Beach Park. Please send an ambulance and call Ocean Safety, where the rescue teams can come with a truck or a jet ski, and now I got professionals coming in my direction. Okay, so after I get off that phone call, gather my things and head straight to shore. Ideally, I'm looking for a populated, accessible piece of shoreline or beach park. A quick tip, along your run, you should be trying to map out these kind of emergency points, just so that you can direct people in these emergency cases, and you might even need to know where you are along your run. So get some local knowledge built as far as setting up on your run, and then make your way in. As I'm making my way in, I'm looking for the first people that can give me a hand. If I'm way out, that's going to be boaters or other foilers or downwinders of any sort. And then as I'm getting closer to shore, it'll be surfers, fishermen, people in the shoreline, divers, snorkelers, and also always trying to hear and listen for that emergency jet ski coming in my direction. And if I see that come in, I'm waving them down. I want people to come, keep an eye on me, better yet, giving me a hand, getting me to shore safely so that I can get into that ambulance, get to that nearest trauma center, and let the medical professionals be the ones to take care of my cut, take my tourniquet off, and ultimately, hopefully, save my life and my limb. Okay, so if you followed all those steps, hopefully that increased your chances of survivability. You kept the blood in your body and you were able to foil another day. Okay, so those are just some of the tips and ideas that I plan to use for myself. I don't only think that I'm going to be using this on these runs. I keep a tourniquet on me as much as possible. There's always one in my car. There's always one in a first aid kit that I pack around, because I never know when I'm going to have to maybe use it on myself or a loved one or even a stranger. So think about those things. Get yourself a tourniquet, learn it, practice, and I'll see you out in the water. Thanks for watching. This was my first YouTube video, and I hope you learned something and liked what you saw. If you did, hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram, b_level_foiler. And if you got any questions or comments on these tourniquets, maybe you do it differently or you got a cool trick that you could teach me and the rest of the world, drop that in the comment section below. Shout out to Voyager Foiler, and I'll see you in the next video. Aloha.